Hello, everyone, and welcome to EduTALK. EduTALK is a weekly program created out of the need for a global learning community, focused on topics in education that directly impact Caribbean nations and diaspora nationals working across the globe. EduTALK features teachers, principals, administrators, business leaders, and dignitaries who share their expertise on critical topics facing education today with a common goal of moving education forward and our students upward. I am your host. I'm Dr. Dwayne Dice, and I'm the CEO of Education Solutions International. Please join educationsolutionsinternational.org and subscribe and look for information about events such as conferences and workshops to inform your practice as an educator, as well as giving you opportunity to collaborate with other people right across the globe. EduTalk today is featuring our wonderful stalwart in education, Mr. Winston Smith. He is the immediate past president of the Jamaica Teachers Association. And we just had the start of the traditional ceremony and conference that you pass on the leadership to the other president. So he's actually in leadership in the JTA still as the immediate past president. And then we have a new president, which will feature on the program soon. But I enjoyed working with Mr. Smith over the year. And we're going to talk about the year in review. So welcome, Mr. Smith. It's always a pleasure to have you on EduTalk.
Thank you, Dr. Dice, and thank you for having me. I hope I can do justice to your program.
You're going to do justice because you always do justice. And a lot of people actually want to hear from you on here. When the last time you were on, we were talking about education in Jamaica, and a lot of comments came. It was a lot of views that people share. So can talk to us a little bit about the beginning. We can start with the beginning of your year. If it was what you expected it to be when you were coming in, maybe you could talk about your expectations and your goals, because I don't think we did mention that last year or throughout the year when we were collaborating. So the goals that you had last year moving into your tenure.
All right. How do I start?
Yeah.
When I ran for the post of president of the JTA, it was the culminating of a dream that would have started, as I shared with conference in my exit speech on the 15th of November 2012. That's when I started in a serious way, preparing myself to be the president of the JTA. It was born out of a conversation I had with my lecturer and mentor at the UWI, Dr. Noel Cowell. And Dr. Dice, he's extremely disappointed in me because I haven't done my PhD as yet. He thought I would have accomplished that some years ago because that's how he sees me.
Yes.
But he needs to look again. Now, notwithstanding, it came about out of the fact that in 2012 we had a demonstration in St. Elizabeth at a particular school that shall remain nameless.
Yes.
And the then Minister of Education, who also shall remain nameless, you'll have to do your research and check, made a pronouncement that I found to be very disheartening and very unfortunate, to say the least, in terms of my understanding of natural justice and due processes. At the time, I was studying industrial relations as a course at UWI with Dr. Cowell. So nobody in the class knew I was a teacher, and they didn't know that I was a part of the JTA, because you would not expect a teacher to be in the Faculty of Humanities, and Social Science, sorry. You'd expect teachers to be over in humanities. But I was doing a course in management studies, doing the general option because I felt it gave me greater latitude and more depth of knowledge in terms of a more rounded individual pursuing management and leadership at any level. So I opted for that instead. And I found that I had to be defending the actions of the teachers. So we had a big debate in the lecture theater, and he asked me to finish it in his office because I wouldn't recant and I wouldn't read my statements, and I would not cease from speaking to defend the rights of the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So after the lecture, we went to his office and we were there talking, and he said that I was disrupting his class, and I said, but you are disrupting my mind. And he said, what you mean? I said, because, sir, out of sheer respect for you as my lecturer, I did not say you're talking nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I restrained myself from telling you how I genuinely felt. But now that I'm here in this space, sir, you're talking nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're looking at it from the point of view of you minister dictating and so on, and not from what the rules and the law says. It was that time he sat back in his seat and he looked at me and gave me a long gaze. And he said, well, look at you. A little student in this class trying to tell a lecturer how to look at the matter. It ever dawned on you that I knew all of what you were saying from the beginning, but I wanted to challenge you some more?
Mm.
I said, oh. So he knew I was right.
Yeah.
And then he asked me, what do I do? Because I'm far more mature than the other students in the class.
Mm-hmm.
I said, sir, between you and I'm a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the head of the science department at Papine High School.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also the national chairman for the resolutions committee
Mm-hmm.
at the JTA.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, have you ever thought of running? I said, no. I'm just here to serve.
Oh.
He said to me that I think you'll be a fine president. So you need to consider it. I said, I take it into consideration. And we're there talking, and he said that if you are going to do this, here are some things you'll need to do.
Yeah.
And he encouraged me to do industrial relations, compensation management, business negotiation, business law. Which other one again? There's another course in fact. Organizational development and management of change and that kind of thing. Because he keep telling me that if you're going to do this, then you must be prepared for the job. Mm-hmm. And if you choose these courses, then it will put you in a good position. I took his advice, and as they would say, the rest is history.
Yeah.
I was asked to run many years between 2012 and now,
Mm-hmm.
but I did, because at that time, I felt that there were persons who I came and saw at the JTA who had ambitions of running for president, for the presidency, and I felt I should wait my turn, acquire as much institutional knowledge as possible, put myself out there so people can see that I'm actually a worthy candidate. Mm-hmm. So I supported Dr. Nicely when he ran. I supported Norman Allen. I supported Clayton Howard back then. I supported Howard Isaac. I supported, well, funny enough, I did not support Dr. Anderson. I didn't campaign for him. I campaigned for his opponent.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Because you see, here's the thing, Dr. Dice. It's not that I didn't think that God will be a fine president, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a man of my word.
Yeah.
And I had promised the other candidate the year before I knew that God would run. Mm-hmm. I promised him, that gentleman, that I would support him the next year. Yeah. And though my heart was with God, I could not go against my word.
Principle, yeah.
Yes, because my word is my honor and my bond. And if I say I'm going to do it, it's only God alone that will stop me from doing it. Once I commit to you something. That's how I've always lived my life. And even through my presidency, I kept and maintained that, because I believe that as a man, you must stand up and honor your word.
Yeah.
When you pledge something, when you make a commitment, do your best to live by it. And if you can't fulfill it, then it is incumbent on me to get to you, if I made you a promise, to explain to you and to ask you to release me from that promise. That's how much I take my word, you know.
That's good.
So I didn't support God because I was supporting the other candidate.
Right.
You know, incidentally, it's my good friend from childhood days. So I supported Wayne. God rest his soul. He passed on.
Yeah.
During my campaign, he was managing my campaign when he actually made his eternal transition.
Oh.
Yes. So I
couldn't
support.
Hold on. Let me bring in my co-host here, Dr. Barker, and then I'm gonna ask you to continue what you're saying. I want to ask you about the personal relationships there. Dr. Barker, my wonderful co-host, welcome.
Well, you're absent co-host most times.
Yeah, but I didn't introduce you formally at the beginning because you know, it was up in the air. So
Yeah, man.
just before we go back, because I want to, we want it to be Mr. Smith's time, you know, this
Yeah,
time.
man.
Yeah, we have about 25 minutes more so with him. But you took up a new post. Just tell us what you are, because we
Yes.
usually introduce you as the principal from Oman, you know?
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I've just started my new job in the UK. So I'm the middle school principal at the American school in Switzerland. It's one of those boarding schools. I'm actually going to be joining boarding duty soon.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah, so it's one of those boarding schools, international schools, about 60 nationalities. So
yeah.
new
I'm very,
experience.
very glad you're on, because you share the space with Mr. Smith and myself all the time. So I'm super glad.
Yeah. Mr. Smith, how are you, man?
Good morning. Well, I don't know where. If you're in England, I suppose it's good day.
Good morning. It's not 9 hours away like the last time. It's no 5.
Okay. So it's good morning.
It's a
So,
little
Miss,
bit better.
yeah. So, Mr. Smith, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, man. So I
Yeah.
prepared myself for the role. I
Yeah.
sought to do that. I learned from people like Patrick Smith, Basil Benji, Cyril Liebert, you know, all the presidents who I would have encountered since joining the General Counsel. I became a member of Counsel in 2008, 2009, when Doran was making his we call it now transferring, or should I say limiting office, and Michael Stewart became president. So I joined the General Counsel in that year, which was 2009. September 2009, I became a council member fully. And I have been on council ever since. I've never, ever been off the General Counsel, which I think is a major accomplishment.
It's good, yeah. Well, can you explain to everybody what General Counsel is in the GTA?
Yeah, man. The General Counsel is the highest decision-making body of the Jamaica Teachers Association outside of annual conference. So annual conference, yeah, as the word suggests, annual is once per year, and it has divested the authority in the General Counsel to administrate the affairs of the association. And the council meets quarterly. But because it meets quarterly, the council has now divested part of its responsibility to the central executive that meets monthly. So that's how the system is set up. So we have conference, council, central executive. Central executive meets every month, except in a month where there's a general council meeting. Council meets quarterly. So the general council meets in September, November, March, and June. Conference is in August. Right. So, well, you obviously wouldn't have a central executive in August, because the boss is happening in, as I love to call it, the boss of all affairs.
Yeah.
It takes August for itself. And I have to give them kudos, because they chose a very good month. I mean, the month when I was born, I mean, and
likewise.
So it shows that they're looking for people with quality to stick with that month of class.
Yes, I agree. So what is the relationship? What's the relationship with you? Because you mentioned Garth Anderson, and when he was running, and so what was the relationship like, you know, with those people in the JT? Because it's very established. The JT is super established, and there's a really, you can feel, I feel it. I feel belong, and I feel the this nice, what do you call it, warm relationship and connection with people. So what was it like with the relationship if you don't support somebody, but you still, you know, being in the same space?
Well, in all honesty, Dr. Dyson, I'm going to be very truthful to you. Persons may not necessarily like it, but I'm going to be honest with you. I try to be honest when I'm asked a question, or I just simply avoid it. The relationship is not as it used to be between rivals anymore. You see, gone are the days when we could go on the stage or platform and we would ridicule, we would rib each other. I mean, almost like using the word stand-up comedy in America, would roast you.
Yeah.
And by the time we exit the stage, you'll find that both of us will probably go somewhere, sit down, have a drink, and we'll laugh at each other, we tease each other, we'll talk about it. It was something that we look forward to at the end of an election.
Right.
You know, when we come to the June General Council, I mean, all the bleeps and the blop and the flops and so on. It's as though you document them in your mind and regurgitate them at that meeting of council in June. Nowadays, sometimes I realize that there's a slight shift in that regard, and people sometimes take things personal and took things personally. But I'm hoping that we can get back there.
Oh, okay.
With Dr. Anderson, I mean, even though we were competitors, we were good friends. You know, I mean, he used to make fun of me and telling me that my candidate have no ghost of a chance. I better jump ship.
Yeah.
And I used to tell him that no, I'm a loyalist, and if I commit, I ain't gonna jump the ship.
Yes.
I used to call him Fat Albert.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, man, and I appreciated his sense of humor, because when he realized that we were calling him Fat Albert, and this, you know, on the campaign trail, he then switched his slogan to say that to be the JTA president, you're gonna take guts. It's gonna take guts to do it. You know,
that's very.
I was amazed by the way he really turned things around.
Yeah.
And presented what we were trying to use as a negative for him. He used it as a positive.
Yeah.
So I kind of capture that. And you know, like sometimes nowadays, the technological thing, when they send you a little emoji, one of those little things, you capture it, so you can use it.
Yes,
so I captured that from him, and I put it in savings, so that whenever the time come, I would have something to draw. But it was really fun campaigning against Dr. Anderson. He's a very lively young man, and
yeah, I realize.
What I think I can say to you, and I can say on this platform about God, he is like me when it comes to some things. If he gives you a commitment, you can rest assured he's going to deliver. He stands by his words, and he's not afraid to tell you his position. Right? He's not hypocritical in nature. Very plain. He's very straightforward, very forthright. Whether you like it or not, and if you have a difference of opinion, he will facilitate a conversation. So more so that when I won, and I needed to look around for a chairman of my salaries committee, understanding I'm going into a negotiation, I penciled his name as the chairman for that.
Okay.
Because I knew I could talk to him, I could talk with him. I knew he respected authority. So even if he has a different opinion as president, I say, this is what I want. He's going to do that. Because that is what the president says. So in general, though, the relationship in the JTA is very, very good.
Okay, good.
We just need to mend those little cracks that sometimes form. You know, in life, cracks do happen in any relationship, any engagement. You know, so we just need to mend them when they do emerge, and hopefully we will not have a big problem or any problem moving forward. Because you'll just simply see those cracks and have them up and running, the system up and running properly.
Yeah, but hold on. Dr. Barker has something. And we have a few things. I want you to pencil, you know, there are a few things that we want to highlight.
Yeah, just to help to bring some clarity. I know that the JT has a structure from my understanding, and I've left Jamaica 20 years. I migrated from Jamaica as one of the teachers who left 20 years ago. Right? So migration is not a new thing, but I'm watching what's happening. But I left 20 years ago. But I know the JTA used to have a situation that the president technically serves 3 years. Am I in the executive? Is that correct, or has that changed?
Yes, man. It still is the same. We have
you see the president-elect, the president, and then you serve as president-elect. Then serve as president,
then
serve
IPP.
as immediate past president.
Yes. You see, one other thing that I want people to understand, the JTA operates a presidency.
Okay. I really wanted to bring that in so that that is part of the conversation.
Man, it's a presidency. And within the realm of the presidency, you have 3 individuals operating. And we take turn to operate. So you have the president-elect, and the immediate past president. Our own, the relationship is a little unusual, if I may use that term.
Yeah.
Because here you are, as a classroom teacher candidate, you're elected to be president-elect. Automatically, you become the second in authority in the JTA, not third, you know, second in authority. Then you move from being second in command to be the commander-in-chief as president. And then you drop down from first to third. So it's not like gearing up or gearing down, you know, you move from 1 to 2 to 3, etc. It is so it is almost the best way to describe it is like the firing order in a cylinder of a 4-stroke engine. You know, so it is, you have to prepare yourself mentally, you know, because if you're not careful. So, for example, Dr. Dice, if you're at conference, you realize that I was basking in the opportunity to become IPP because I know the system, I know what's going to happen. Mentally and emotionally and psychologically, I've been prepared for it. So much so that I tell the teachers, don't call me immediate past president, just call me IP.
IPP.
Yes, because I'm mentally and emotionally prepared for it because I know. And I know that sometimes if one does not disassociate or kind of release themselves from some things, it creates problem, and it may create problem for the incoming president. So from the day of the 22nd, as a matter of fact, even before that, you had media houses calling me for interview, and I said to them that if it is going to be after Tuesday, August 22nd, I am not going to be doing it because I am not the president, and the president speaks for the JTA. So even though they were making requests and so forth, I wrote back to them to say, I am not going to be available. I cannot speak to you unless the president gives permission, and I am not seeking such permission because I think this is important for the president coming in to use this opportunity before September 1 to kind of concretize herself or settle in the role of presidency and having these light speaking engagement, so to speak, to really get accustomed to the job of the president.
Let me ask you, how speaking of the presidency, because we realize that the JTA filled with the presidency with the 3 people at the top, and that, to be honest with you, that is a really strong leadership model to have 3 people, you know, just
it's very good model.
Yeah, transition wise. How you see you have grown as a leader, in executive leader over the term. And I'm saying term because your tenure is still a part of the presidency. But that area where you're in the driving seat, how has your leadership change and grow?
All right. What it has done, guys, is that it has caused me now to experience in a real way all the theoretical concept and construct that I would have learned at UE in management and leadership. So it has also caused me to do a lot of introspection, reflection, and it has slowed down my response time. You know, because I have to analyze everything I say before saying something, having recognized now that the minute it leaves my mouth, it becomes gospel to many. And it also exposes the association, myself and my family, to criticism or ridicule. And I've always maintained a kind of posture that if you're going to ridicule me or to assert anything about me, I can't stop you from speaking negatively, but when it is disaggregated, I must not be found guilty. So normally, prior to being president, I would be very quick to answer, and not necessarily in a wrong or so way, but I realize that you can't just be half right. You have to be almost 100% right at all times. It has also tempered my aggression or my crossness. to use a better word. But you know, it has caused me to grow. And the truth is, Dr. Dice, sometimes I don't even see it myself because in my head, you know, I've always been like this. But when my sister Joan called me one morning and after an interview, and she said to me that, Winston, I was listening to you and I was wondering if that is really my brother. Because the way the host was behaving, the Winston I knew all this time would probably lash him long time, tell him chat rubbish if you come out for the program. But you were tolerant, calm, easy, you know, and you handled the interview in a manner that I am really surprised. And I've seen where you have blossomed.
That's good.
You know, And the other case was, again, another case in point was in Parliament. My little brother called me and he said, no, man, I had to look good if it's really you. Because you were talking and you were interrupted, and you never like when people interrupt you when you're talking. And especially when the information that would have come forth was not necessarily in line with what the realities are.
Yeah.
So I think that was really two cases in what I can tell you definitively where persons who are very close to me, who know me from I was a baby, you know, would have come forward and said, listen, we have seen some growth and development. And
that's a very deep part now, because it doesn't, you notice you never ever mention management. It's personal, like deep personal qualities that have formed, you know, and reformed. So
yeah,
that's
see, I think, you know, Dr. Dice, I have been blessed to be born in one of, I consider, the greatest family on earth. Not in wealth, financial wealth, but in good character and a kind of fortitude and forthrightness that engenders positive growth and development over time. My siblings are we're well educated. If we look at paper qualification, but we transcend not just paper qualification, the depth of knowledge that abounds among my 10 siblings could rival any group or any organization. And because we look so much alike, we have to be mindful of the impact of whatever we say on our siblings. So in other words, persons, I have to be careful, because I know there's 7 other faces or 10 other faces that look like mine walking around. And that can be easily identified. I know that my siblings, we even sound alike. So much so that sometimes even our mother doesn't even know who is talking if she's hearing us talking.
Wow.
So we sound alike, we look alike, we pretty much, I keep telling people, if you know me, you know my 10 brothers and sisters. Because there's not much difference between us in terms of personality and how we treat people. So if you see my brother, Dr. Dice, they say, listen, I know Winston. If you're in problem, he's going to help you. So if you're traveling and on JetBlue and you see a captain that looks like me, you say, I know him. Automatically you'll be treated royally, because if it's my brother flying, he's going to make sure that Winston's friend must be treated well.
I really need to fly.
So that's how we are. And in my presidency, I was always mindful of not doing anything to create an embarrassment or disappointment for them. So, you know, I had to manage the association the best way I could. And I realize now that I can't do this on my own. It has to take a team approach. So I relied heavily on my chairman, my national chairman, as well as past presidents and the secretariat and so forth. Especially Secretary General, because it's no secret. Dr. Nicely, we are good friends from way back when. As a matter of fact, it was myself and another teacher, Tamashela, who encouraged him in a forceful way to run a second time after he ran the first time and lost. He wasn't planning to go back, and we said no. I remember sitting with him at the Rosa Conference Center at a contact teacher seminar. And we sat with him for a long time, convincing him to run. And he ran, and I think he has a record today as a person with the largest margin of victory.
That's very nice.
So we have been friends and we have worked well together. You know, so it's no secret. So I lean heavily on him and his wisdom and experience, having gone through the rope of president before. And so you can't do this job on your own. And if I should advise anybody becoming the president, don't ever believe that you can do it on your own. No matter how much knowledge or how long you have served. Because I serve at every level in the JT, you know. The only level I've never served was president.
In
the presidency, rather, because I haven't served as immediate past president yet, which I'm doing now. So I've never served in the presidency. That's the only realm that I've never served. So when you talk about institutional knowledge of the JTA, I have been there. Many of what you see operating in the JTA now came about as a result of resolutions that I wrote.
So
even the 5.
Smith,
yes,
this is a nice segue to my question then. Given that you have this vast institutional knowledge and has been in the JTA and served in different levels. I suppose for me, and that's nowhere I tend to want to go. I want to understand the organization a little bit more as an organism that is developing an ecosystem. And my question really is around, given that knowledge that you have on the JTA, I'm wondering, where do you think the JTA need to be going? Like, what changes the JTA need to be? I mean, you're still part of the presidency, and I know you don't speak with the same authority as a number one, but having served in two different capacities in the presidency and different levels, what would you say are the things that the JTA need to be doing differently as we move into a different age?
All right. We need to diversify our product offerings. So rather than just focus strictly or mainly on industrial relations and teacher representation, we have to now take teacher representation to a different level. And we have started that. We have to look at how do we educate our members in becoming lifelong savers or financiers, or financial literacy. It is all well and good that we can always defend our members and negotiate for them. But we have to educate our members in terms of how to prepare for the future. Whether we like it or not, retirement is coming up. And yes, we have retirement seminars, but oftentimes the person who attend retirement seminars are those who are almost retiring anyway.
Too late.
Too late. So we need to bring that message across earlier. And I've started that, I don't think it is getting the traction that it really deserves. But I'm not daunted by that, because I know when you start things and it's new, sometimes people don't gravitate to it, especially in Jamaica. Jamaicans are not we are more of the followers. So in a year or two, if we are consistent and if we maintain it, if we believe in that vision and don't give up, then in a year or two, maybe 3, you will find that teachers will gravitate to it. Incidentally, as I'm while packing up to leave this residence, I found my Teachers Day token of 2012, 2013.
Wow.
It's a pen.
Wow.
A simple little pen, it's not even working.
Oh my God.
Hush, Clayton.
But yes. Look on it now with the token. The token is.
But you see, that's the thing now, Dr. Dice.
Yeah.
We have to shift, right?
Yes.
From giving token as a sim. I can't remember now. The word token means a small gesture of or gift. It's not a big thing, but it should have some meaning and significance. Now, what has that pen done for me over the last 10 years? Because I got it roughly 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I still have it, but what has it done for me? Absolutely nothing. Because it's still in the little black thing that I got it. I never used it, and it is not even writing now. So even though having never used it, it is still of no use to me because it has deteriorated.
Yeah.
So I would have gotten a token 2012-13, which is of no use. Now I guarantee you that 10 years from now, that $1,500 that we gave to each teacher to purchase shares, if the teacher purchased shares in any company listed on the stock market, 10 years from now, they will not be just holding $1,500.
Yep.
I guarantee you, they will be much better off.
So the teachers who receive the teacher awards, they were gifted some money to invest in shares. Is that what you're saying?
No, man, we gave every single teacher who is a member of the JTA share $1,500 to purchase shares on the stock market.
Okay, every teacher, irrespective of whether
every single teacher, as long as you're a member of the JTA.
Well, that's interesting.
He doesn't want to say it's good.
So how has that not been on the news cycle in terms of the negative news circulated around teacher retention and all that?
Because remember, good news don't travel as fast as bad news,
True.
Because there's a real piece that you have. I mean, I like your response in terms of diversifying the offering, because from a person outside, and even my experience living in Jamaica, the JTA, in my experience, has always operated almost like, interestingly, adversarial around pay and so on, but in general in lockstep with the Ministry of Education. But
Yeah, but
adversarial around pay and conditions. But it typically would be in the news if there's a pay issue, a negotiation, but never on the other things. Like they wouldn't call I wouldn't say the president of the JTA coming to speak around, as you mentioned, financial literacy and what we need to do to make sure that teachers are thinking about the future, in terms of that. What I see a lot of is more around the pay and so on. So for me, I think that has been 20 years ago, if you get what I mean.
yes.
And when you say that you're looking at diversifying and looking at these kind of things, that's the kind of stuff I don't know if I see enough of when I hear about the JTA.
Well, that's because I've never been president before.
I understand, and that's why, yeah, but you know what I mean. The point
Yeah, but I
making,
understand,
we need to see a little bit more than just, because there's a national piece that no matter how the president want to negotiate, at some point the data will say you have to accept the offer. No matter whether you want 200% or not.
Yeah,
And so it's just a reality. We know that sometimes the leader have to accept an offer that does not change the price of milk in a family's life. But when you see all the data, and you know that better they get the money now, because if they wait next year if you get the same money, it can't buy what it can buy now.
exactly.
Right? So might as well they get it now, we'll move on. We need
There's
a bigger package from our union. That's what
there's a thing called time value of money,
Of course.
and the future value. You see, because I did these things at UWI, I fully understand and appreciate them, So money today doesn't value the same thing tomorrow,
Exactly.
Yesterday I was saying to my brother that if I was telling him that I need to start looking now at seriously preparing for pension. I would have accumulated some things now that set the bedrock for my our launching pad for my development. And I said to him that I must find a job that can allow me to have at least $200,000 disposable income in order for me to prepare for pension. And he was like, what are you talking about? I'm saying that if I'm to look 15 years down the road, when I do my future value analysis, I must have I must be earning in this time $200,000 disposable income, which is well, I know you understand, but for those who don't, after all of my expenses are taken out, I should have $200,000 which I can simply put away in the bank. If I'm to live the same almost lifestyle that I'm living now, 15 years from now when I'm to retire.
But you have hit on a very important point though, when you say that teachers of a certain age do not think this is an important discussion. To have, they tend to come to these retirement seminar when they are 5 years away from it. And you say, but no, you can't earn $1 million a month to have the lifestyle you currently have. So it's going to be a real hit. So I suppose my other question is, given that you're still within the presidency, are there like groups looking at increasing the awareness around these conversations and looking to partnerships with pension providers to kind of look at what they can be doing?
Yeah, man. You see, the thing, Dr. Barker, is that the conversation has always been there, always been had, What we need to do is to intensify and provide more real issue. For example, even if I have not done this great thing in the eyes of the teachers, because they probably don't even realize how good my presidency was.
The profound changes you might have made, because it's
they don't realize it.
Yeah,
but I know, and a person who understands will tell me. People have called me and said, "Brethren, you have done an extraordinary job." Not because you don't have the big ticket items, but what I've done is to have dug a proper foundation and set a platform, set the JTA on a path, and I'm happy for Lasagna. And when I say this publicly, people will think, oh, what am I talking about? They don't understand. I'm genuinely happy for her, and I'm prepared to give her 100% support. We have started, as a matter of fact, I started to expose her from she was president-elect by sending her to various meetings and seminars and so forth, because she has to be prepared adequately to take the job. The job of a president, being the president, is not an easy one. It's not something you just jump into overnight. If it is that you're thrust into it overnight, you're gonna struggle for a little while. But if you take your time and usher in and you familiarize yourself with something. So if you look at the conference report, it will tell you how much she would have been exposed to, because I gave her that platform to do it. But interestingly, some of the things I started, when I look at her program, she's carrying through many of them.
Yeah.
So much so that 8 of the persons who serve on my cabinet or my committees are now chairing her committees as well. And the good thing is, I never asked her to do so.
That's very good. It's
But she
good leadership.
selected them.
Yeah.
Yes, because she would have gone to the meetings, almost every meeting of the various committees. She would have seen, heard, and participated. So she recognized the value in these individuals rather than going about changing. You see, if we're going to grow, we can't be constantly changing every single time. We have to allow for programs to be implemented and for them to develop. These changes don't happen overnight in terms of the real value for the change that you would have made. And again, I did management of change. I understand that the process of change takes a little while, and you have to implement the change and allow it to grow, to blossom, by virtue of how you nurture it and the persons you put in place who are change leaders and change managers in their respective field. We have to understand that, and we have started that. So the narrative has started to change as it relates to how people respond to the JTA. Even in the very media, the media have now seen a different side of the JTA, because I've sat down with them and explained to them how the JTA works and what is happening.
As you are doing now.
Yeah, that's what I was
going to say. And that is appreciative, because it operates in a kind of mystical kind of way, and then turns up when it's peer time, and what happens there is that you automatically immortalizes what the JTA represent, which is just more money. When you and I will know with all of the knowledge is that money is not going to change people's life fully. There's a lot more things that can be put on the table to better the life of a teacher than even giving them extra money, given that they pay tax out of it, and given that, you know, the cost of living is constantly rising. So,
look at it this way. Money is like a vehicle. But if you can't drive, the vehicle will be right in your driveway, and you still die.
Yes.
Because you couldn't reach a hospital.
Yeah.
So having the vehicle, you have to know how to maneuver it. You have to know how to use it. You know, it's something I've said to my son one day, that you need to drive slower if you're low on fuel. Because the slower you drive, the farther the small amount of fuel will take you.
Yes.
Now, I was saying to some teachers at conference that when I started teaching, I have suffered some serious misfortune, you know. I mean, I wouldn't want to say them publicly online, but I was never treated fairly by the education system. I suffered at the hands of the education system, you know.
We all did, man.
And no. I could tell you privately. I'm talking about my exam paper being hid. And I end up with failing.
Different level.
Man. I passed courses that never see the light of day.
Wow.
And I had to redo it.
Wow.
Yes. So, but yet, when I look at what I would have accomplished, because of the kind of support system I had a very good principal, you know, in the person of, well, 2 good principals. In the persons of Cynthia Pearton and Dr. Polly Bowes Howell. Those are the only 2 principals I've ever worked with as an educator. Right? And they saw value or quality in me for some reason or the other. The nurture that blossom helped me to grow. When I look at money and the pay, I spent a lot of my years teaching as preacher and teacher. And you know, preacher and teacher never get no money.
None at all.
But yet, it never fazed me in terms of how I approach my job. I knew that better must come. I knew that if you stick with the program, it will improve. You understand?
Right mindset.
It can't be doom and gloom. And if you keep changing, then it does not allow you to really grow. So after leaving college, I've only worked at one institution before becoming principal.
Wow.
Yeah.
One single school.
Is that on top of the hill, eh?
Huh?
On top of the hill?
No. I went to Papine High School.
Oh, you went to Papine?
I taught at Papine High School from 97 to 2012 when I became a principal.
Okay.
The only other school that I would have taught prior to becoming principal is Stony Hill All Age, where I did a year.
Okay.
And that's where I left to go to college.
Okay.
Right. So I've only been to 2 schools. I'm going to talk to some teachers and they tell you how many schools they have gone through in 10 years. And I'm like, really? But if you keep moving, how will you get a chance to be a senior teacher, vice principal? You know, you need to stay where you are, man. Tough it out. Sometimes the going gets tough, but they say when the going get tough, the tough should get going.
Yes, yes.
You know, I mean, for me, the only time I'm angry or upset for the month is payday. And after payday, and the reality come home, you know, you go back to school the next day and you find a reason to continue the job.
Yeah. But as we look at the national conversation, because obviously I'm so far away, I'm just wondering though, like, I mean, a man like you was not only serving a kind of political role within the organization, but he's also an educator daily. Yeah, you're working with kids and with teachers, and whatever policies you are trying to put in place would affect them, maybe not right away, but would eventually have some impact on them.
Yes.
I'm just wondering that in terms of the JTA's conversation, to what extent do they see their role as an important part of the quality of the education system we currently have? And how is that?
That is a question I really couldn't answer definitively, because it varies from individual to individual. And remember, the JTA is the collective group of individuals.
Yeah.
So in different enclaves or different parishes, different DA and so forth, you will have conversational persons whose view are different. You'll find persons who are really committed to the JTA and to education. You have persons who are pretty much using it as a stepping stone to get where they want to go. As a matter of fact, there's a wide perception or belief in Jamaica that persons seek to become president because of their own self-aggrandization, looking for a bigger job.
Politics later.
And politics later. And I can say to you that true to form, I've been offered plenty jobs, both in public and private sector and other schools. I've had chairmen call me, offered me their school, but I've turned them down. I've turned down every single one.
Are you going back to your school to be principal?
Oh, yes. Okay. I had a meeting with the board last night.
Yeah.
And I told them that I'm just an invited guest, so they shouldn't expect me to be doing anything too much.
Okay, so let me just clarify. So when you're in the JDA presidency, you leave your official role as a sabbatical?
Yes, you get 1 year special leave. We call it a special leave. So it's
but your job is secure to come back to.
Right. So their job is there, and it's yours to return, or if you opt to go elsewhere.
Okay.
Or some persons in the past would have opted for other places.
A more lucrative offer now that you're finished.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about the role of
I can tell you, the offers have come, but I've turned them down. I remember the last one I got, my son almost dropped off the chair because he was sitting beside me when I got the call, and he was listening. And he said, "Daddy, you know, say I really need that."
Better will come. You know what work already. Better will come when the time is right.
You see, it will come. And I'm a man of faith, you know. So I know that in time to come. And I said on TVJ in an interview that 2 to 3 years time, things might change, you know. But right now, as it is,
as well.
Yeah.
As it is now, my heart is at Golden Spring, and my mind is at Golden Spring. I'm looking forward to go back. There are plans I have in place, and I never leave a place unless I finish all the things that I pledged to do before taking up the job.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna come and visit you. We're coming over there to visit you.
Yeah, man. I hope you bring some things because the school need plenty.
Yeah.
So
yeah, go on. Finish your
man. So I'm going back because, you know, I have things in my mind that I wanted to achieve. I have an image of what I want or believe Golden Spring should look like. And I need to ensure that I execute those ideas, those plans to the best of my ability. And when I have accomplished them, then and only then will I consider to take up better paying jobs elsewhere. Money is important, you know. Money is important, but people are far more important. And if we can really transform people's lives, then it will create a total shift in the well-being of many of our citizens and the country ultimately. And it is for that reason why I have opted to stay in teaching. As I said before, from I was at university, I did very well in university, I must add. I was very well known by my lecturers and almost everybody. So offers were coming even from then when I was doing my management studies degree. Many of my friends and my classmates have gone on into the private sector and they're earning 4 or 5 times what I'm getting. But to me, I believe I was born to transform people's lives. And the best way to do that is in education.
Yeah. We're winding down with our program because I don't want to take you away too long.
No, man. You have me till about 7:15. You know, what I wanted to do, I did earlier.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you then, what is the and then ask you, a little bit of personal, not too personal to close off. What is the job of the IPP, the immediate past president?
One of advisor and consultant, for want of a better word.
Okay.
Being third in order, you really can't do much of the, well, in my mind, maybe others will think differently. The way I see it, and I speak to you from my vantage point, Dr. Dice, Dr. Barker, as the IP, as the immediate past president, it is I see myself as an advisor to the president and a trainer of the president-elect.
Oh, okay.
So the president's program will be there. I will not in any way seek to alter her program, but really to look at ways to advise her of the shortest or the easiest possible way to execute her program to the fullest. To stand with her and support her in her decisions, because I would have gotten my chance to serve, and I must ensure that my president is a more successful president than I am. I don't understand how some people may want to think that, if the person who comes behind you is better than you, it makes you look bad. No, it doesn't. It makes me look good. Because if I can support her to push her beyond me, then it makes me good. I remember as a young boy watching an old Kung Fu master, and he said to the student, when he had a duel with the student, and his student beat him, and the student was laughing, and he said, "No, you are good because I am good. And the student ought to exceed the master, or else there is no growth."
Yeah.
So if my students, if the president now, and let me say president-elect then, so, just to get the conversation knocked on away.
Right.
So if the Lasagna is like me or worse than me, then JTA would have lost. And the bigger picture is the JTA.
Yes.
So Lasagna's presidency must be better than mine. And it is incumbent on me as the immediate past president to do everything within my power to ensure that her presidency is better than mine.
Yes.
Because it's not about Winston or Lasagna or Leighton. It's about the Jamaica Teachers Association and how we represent our members. And so therefore, I should never do anything to compromise her presidency or to cause her to be uncomfortable, looking over her shoulder, wondering if I'm going to say something or if I'm going to do this. It must never happen.
Yeah. So do you go to the negotiation tables with her?
Yeah, man. The presidents, you see, every meeting of the JTA will have the presidents. The only meeting that the president-elect and the immediate past president don't attend unless by special invitation is when the president is meeting with her cabinet, her chairman.
Okay.
That meeting is sacrosanct to the president.
Oh, okay.
However, if the president desire, I mean, I could have, but I never did. Sometimes it crossed my mind, I probably should have invited the PE to some of those meetings. But I mean, as a church, she probably doing all that things, so give her a little break. But that's the only meeting that we are not entitled to attend. But every other meeting, General Counsel, Central Executive, meeting with the Ministry of Finance, meeting with the Ministry of Education, committee meetings, all of these things, workshops, seminars, the works. It's all three of us.
So the year, I'm back, I'm going to turn it over to United. The year that you have served as president, do you find that you have, because I know one of the things that I heard you highlighted, and I think is very good, is the the stocks, the long-term benefits. And you said that it might not, a lot of people, teachers, might not like it right now because they don't get the immediate money, but over the long term, they will see it because it's long-term planning, which is very good. It's very good. What are some of your short-term successes, though, that you have accomplished?
If we should look at them month by month.
Yeah.
Because at one point,
or
Dr.
quarter.
I had to pretty much say to my chairman, put aside the mandate for a little while. Things were evolving rapidly that we needed to treat with that. You know, it was one dynamic, fascinating, intriguing year, you know.
Yeah.
It started the presidency without any administrative officers in the JTA, you know, in terms of permanent fixtures. When I became president, we had a secretary general who should have retired before my tenure, and was on the verge of going out. I gave him an extension for 2 months to allow me time to fix things. So we had to change our secretary general. The ad went out, the interviews were done. Dr. Nicely, who was his deputy, when we did the interviews, he came out on top and was selected. So by the time we filled the void of the Secretary General, we also created another void of the Deputy Secretary General.
Right, right.
Also, our regional officer for Southeast, Mr. Benji, was on the verge of retiring too. As a matter of fact, I asked him to stay on for the first two months in my presidency as well to help the transition.
Oh, wow.
So we had to be simultaneously looking for a Deputy Secretary General as well as a regional officer.
Yeah.
So the month of September was one that was fraught with us now seeking to stabilize the administrative leadership of the association. By the time we successfully did that, we had October. In October, over 1,335 teachers did not get paid.
Whoa.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Now, again, and I said it at conference, and persons may think, frankly, I don't believe what people want to think about it, because truth is truth.
Yeah.
And we have to give credit to the minister and the Ministry of Education in this regard. Because when I called the permanent secretary and explained to her that this cannot happen, man, there's no way I can sit here and our teachers are not paid, even if it is one teacher. I remember speaking to her from, I think it was about 2:35 a.m.
What?
And we're on the phone from after 2 there about right till 4 something, trying to ascertain what we're going to do, how we're going to approach it. And for the first time since the advent of the new electronic system of payment, we had 4 payments in the month of October. The 22nd, 26th, 28th, and 30th of October, the portal was open again so that teachers could receive their pay. Every single teacher didn't, but more than 1,200, I think it was about 1,300 and change,
almost
got their pay. Almost everybody got paid in October that month. Coupled with that, I had the issue of the summer school payment. Now, bear in mind, you know, Gabriel, who was president before me, told the teachers, do not participate in this program. They went ahead and did it anyway. You know how teachers are. But many of them weren't paid. So we had to aggressively pursue that as well, which we did to a resounding measure of success, if you ask me. Not 100%, but remember, A start from, in some institutions, A start from 90, you know. In others, it start from 80 or 70. So if I got a 75 or 80%, that's an A. You know, give me a 3 points on a GPA, which will give me first class honors if you ask me. See, that's why I look at things, you know, to say, all right, to determine if it was a success of good measure. Come November, in October, for the first time in the history of the Jamaica Teachers Association, we had a training of the entire General Council. First time, never happened before.
Wow.
Because leadership is important, knowledge is important. So I impress upon the Secretary General from I was president-elect that it must happen, and we're gonna do it. So you know, and Dr. Nicely, when he came in, Byron Farkas on his tail end, they both agree with me and we work on it. And for the first time in the history of the Jamaica Teachers Association, we took the entire General Council to train them. We did it virtually. We wanted to do it physically, but you know, we're in the COVID still. Pandemic was still not a, was far more threatening than it is now. So we weren't allowed to gather in a space like that, but we did it online. So we had our central executive training still physically, which is a part of the staple of the association. But in terms of the new things, we had the general counsel being trained. And I've managed to articulate the view or the vision that I had from day one, that it is better to train the general counsel than the central executive. The Senex training or, functionality in terms of instrument of appointment and so on can be done within the training of a general counsel, because the central executive is a subset of counsel. So we just need to have a ceremony or an event or so, or a period of time, maybe a 2-hour slot in the training, where we need the central executive members and allow the general counsel members to enjoy the day, or they can simply watch and participate, because people aspire to become, and you need to show them what they're aspiring for.
Yes.
Or aspiring to. So we did that for the first time. We revitalized the contact teacher training institute, the contact teacher training sessions. So that is back on board. We did again the future leaders, which is something I participated in way back when, and many of us who are part of that cohort have gone, well, about 7 of us would have been a part of that cohort in the early part of 20, I think it was about 2010, 2011 there. About Michael Stewart was president, so it was 2009, 2010. Some of us who were part of that group have become president of the JTA. That's how well the program, but we have never repeated it. So I brought it back, and we had the Future Leaders Conference this time around.
I remember it.
Yes, man. We carried 68 persons to Holiday Inn, and we trained 58, in terms of participants, and then you had others. So we did those things. We had our education. Well, you see, I don't want to mention the things that are staple within the JTA. It doesn't matter who is president. You're going to have an education symposium. You're going to have a ed conference. You're going to have Helen Still. So those are staples within the association. But in terms of other things now that is dependent on president, we had a very good show at the Diaspora Summit in Manhattan. Even though it was a pandemic. The day after being installed as president, I called Leo. And I said, Leo, where is the diaspora going to happen? He said, well, I'm not sure, no, Winston, what? He said, well, it's going to happen, and JTA is going to participate, and we are coming. We're going to make it happen. Right? Because I believe by that time, when it would normally happen, I had confidence that we would be able to fly, things would have changed. I believed it, and I went out, and I said to the Secretary General, make it happen. And I'm happy to say that it did have to took place, and we carried 50 teachers, a delegation of 50 members to Manhattan Marymount College, where we had our summit, and it was very good. Opened the doors for the opportunities for many of our members who were over the moon when they realized what the Diaspora Summit is all about. It's not about frolicking, it's about real professional development and making connections and networking and so forth. So it's something that we look forward to. We'll talk about, during that same visit, we were able to meet with the High Commissioner, the Counsel General rather, not High Commissioner, Counsel General, as well as the Ambassador. We've had a discussion with the Counsel General as it relates to a dialysis machine, which was part of my program. And I'm happy to say that they have agreed to give us a dialysis machine. It's just for the Secretariat now to follow it through to completion. But the agreement is there that a dialysis machine worth, I think, around $80,000 US. So we'll be getting that courtesy of my representation of our members. And I'm hoping to put that dialysis machine in a hospital in central Jamaica. Now, I'm from St. Elizabeth, so I am fully in support of it being at a hospital in St. Elizabeth. Central, and it's available to the teachers right across the country. And we are not limiting it to teachers. We are saying that if there's a police or nurse who
civil
is in
servant,
need, general civil servant, but my target group is really teachers, police, and nurse.
Okay.
We're not going to say if somebody needs it and it's available, they couldn't use it or shouldn't use it. But I'm just saying that teachers are #1 priority. followed by nurses and police at a joint second at a little distance behind teachers. Yeah,
so that's very good. It's the list is a long list.
And of course, we have our Teachers Day token, which
Yeah.
seeks to give shares. But not only that, guys, I negotiated with one-on-one
Yeah.
for a set aside portion of 30 million shares for teachers to purchase. When I learned of it, we asked for a kind of, share, so a certain amount of shares to be reserved. The figures are not just did not just appear out of the blue. They were calculated figures.
Okay.
In my headspace, we had given to all members of the JTA $1,500 to purchase shares on the stock market. We set aside $30 million for that, using 20,000 members, a membership base of 20,000, resulting in 1.5.
Yeah.
My calculation at the time, and in discussion with the parties, was that every teacher who is a member of the JTA should be able to purchase at least 1,500 shares. They have the funds to do it. So the teacher would not be required to spend $1 out of his or her pocket and would be able to purchase shares on the stock market in a company that has teachers as a part of the functionaries of the system, which means that there's a high possibility of tremendous success, because the shareholders of this entity would be active participants in the success of the entity. That's my thought process.
Yeah.
Now, we also negotiated that teachers would be allowed to bid for shares on the open market, just like everybody else. So the teacher would have 2 bites of the cherry, for want of a better word, 2 opportunities to get some shares in a company that I believe will excel when I look at who are the players and the owners of this entity.
Is it the local stock
that
market?
I am very proud of.
Is it local stock market?
Yes, man, the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So one-on-one is the 100th company to be listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. It is a company that I believe will do well, and I wanted teachers to be on board so they can start to benefit. What teachers need to understand is that when you purchase shares, there are more than one ways of earning money from it. Stock appreciation, as well as dividends to be paid if the company perform well. So if the company makes a profit, you receive dividends because you're a shareholder. And if the price of the stock increase, you also receive money because the stock appreciate. So here is an opportunity for teachers to be sitting down teaching the children at school while their $1,500 from their union is earning money for you. I remember watching an ad some years ago, with this man sitting on the beach and laughing at his friend and say, while you're at the bar drinking and smoking, my money is earning money and I'm sitting on the beach watching the waves. And they were saying, invest in the stock market. So here's an opportunity that teachers could be teaching in class and their bank account got ching. So you go to work this morning having $1,500, and by the time you go home, you're at $2,000. And that's different
very
from
good.
your day. So so this is something that I wanted to do for the teachers of Jamaica. And to be honest with you, Dr. Dice, Dr. Barker, I was over the moon when I shared the idea with the president-elect, and she said, Winston, me giving shares next year too.
Yeah, that's very good. So that's addition. In addition to yours. So that's very good.
So next year. And I said to the PE then, she was PE then, no president. If every president behind us walk in this vein, the teachers of Jamaica, courtesy of your union, would have, can you imagine if you have 10 years in the system and every president over the 10 years give you $1,500 in shares?
My God.
You realize that just by doing that, your union would have given you enough money to have shares in various companies on the stock market? Could be earning for you.
It's a good idea, that man. That's a good initiative.
Yeah.
It's a good initiative.
So it's just for us to know, follow through. Yeah, the rollout wasn't as bossy or good as I wanted to
Well,
be.
that's my thing is my thing is that these kind of projects need a little bit more of a centralizing, that we are looking at financial security and not just a salary.
Yeah.
We're looking at wealth creation rather than cash injection, because sometimes people, when the message is one sound, everybody remember that sound. When they kind of see a broader message, and especially in this time where there are so many ways in which people can earn money, it's good that you are looking in such a positive direction. And I know the Jamaican Stock Exchange is one that has been getting a lot of rave reviews in terms of, because it's coming as an infant kind of stock exchange. It means a lot of value is there. So yeah, I like that idea, and I like the idea that the next, maybe what can happen is, rather than it being on the whim of a president to do this, what the JTA need to do now is enshrine this within their operation, to say that as you move forward, for this to be a legacy and remains a legacy, and not that a part of the contributions will be put back to members, so that it is invested in stock, and it's almost like an automatic thing. And then it means that it's not a case where the next person come in and say, I like to do it as well. It's more a matter of know that it is in our legal framework. Yeah. It happens every year. Yeah. That's the way that I'd like to see something like that.
And I can agree with that, and I can embrace that that school of thought. What we need to do, though, you see, because of how the JTA operates in a true democratic way, if our members have not yet bought into the vision, then a motion like that may be defeated when the resolution comes.
So perhaps.
So I know
that's
that
why
maybe
this
5
needs
years
to be promoted.
As long as I'm alive and in the JTA, something that I have in mind, So have no fear.
Okay.
Winston is here.
Yeah, it needs to be enshrined for it to be, it works.
I'm fully much aware of that.
3 years from now, you say, you and I are talking again, and you say, that the next president just stop it just like that.
No,
and that's when people come 5 years later and say, that we used to get this help with this, and everyone's like, so why wasn't it part of the actual operational? So this is where I'm saying that it's a great idea, and I think maybe your IPP work might be devoted to ensure that something in that sense is a
policy
legacy.
But look at it this year, gentlemen. One of the things I've done this year, which I didn't mention yet, but is to, you see the future leaders thing that I spoke to you about, right?
Yeah.
We had it back then and it stopped. We brought it again. What I've done this year is to bring to the fore the idea of an industrial relations institute. Now, this will be concretized in short order within the JTA. If that is done, where we have an institute to train people in leadership and industrial relations, then the future leaders training that we do will no longer be left up to our president's program,
but
will be a part of the legacy of the JTA.
Institutional changes. I know,
yes,
and I remember being a member of the JTA. I was a contact teacher, and my story is another one. I got fired because I was a contact teacher,
Shouldn't happen. Because you should be protected. You're protected under the labor.
My life is what it is now because of the things that I've experienced. So
yes, but it shouldn't happen still because the labor
relations. I mean, loose here. I wasn't fired, but I left because of how a situation got quite toxic.
Okay.
Because I was
scared me a while ago,
No. If I was fired, it would be well different. But the point is, I lost faith in the organization in some ways, to the point where I decided it's time to maybe move on. So, but the point is, the changes that we seek has to be less about the person and more about the institution. I do believe that what you describe as the organizational structure, where you have a PE, a P, and an IPP, is an excellent model for embedding change. It's an excellent model because it allows the person who has an idea to spend the first year seeing how the structure works. To begin to craft a vision of their own time in the presidency, but because they're still privy to certain of the arms of the structure of the democratic arms, it means in their immediate past presidency, they get a chance to finish laying the groundwork so that their legacy can be forward. So the things that, and I think it's a beautiful structure. What I am going to be saying, and you might be the one who broke the trend, is that I don't see clearly these kind of things coming through to say the benefit of the 3 years in that space. Other presidents have seen it as an opportunity to lay proper groundwork. You know, so I might be wrong. There might be a few. I am not been there, but I certainly see it as much as a president and not as a presidency. And when that presidency kicking is when I would see, for example, the IPP speaking on certain matters because they're carrying this matter. Yeah. And when the PE is in place, the PE begins to lay out the vision about what they want to do, given that they are privy to what the PE is currently doing as their next year. You know, so this is the way that I'm thinking, because I think it's a great structure. I like it. And many organizations strive for that structure.
Well, I believe that you will see that this year.
I hope so.
Just keep your eyes on the JTA.
I am listening. I might not speak a lot in the public domain about things, but I listen and I read a lot.
Well, so, if I can tell you this, you see, when I was parish president for St. Andrew, Lasagna was on my team because she was a DA president in St. Andrew at the time. So we have worked together before. When she became national president-elect, again, we worked together. If I say this to you, you might not believe me, but it's factual nonetheless. When we were campaigning, myself, Lasagna, and Gabriel, that year Gabriel won. But when we were campaigning, I was actually campaigning, and I said to the teachers, if you're not voting for me, vote for Lasagna. Because I knew who she is, and I knew what she is capable of doing, and having worked with her, I knew that she's somebody I'd want to see lead the JTA.
Yeah.
Right? Now she's at the head. Leighton and I have a very good relationship. Leighton campaigned for me when I was running.
Yeah.
So you can understand that. So we have persons, the three of us are not just in the presidency as 3 individuals, but we are 3 friends who have a good relationship in the presidency at this time.
No, man, I like that, man. Some solid things there.
So we will, you will see great things coming out. The JTA will not be the same again.
That's good. So, Mr. Smith, we're gonna wind down here. I have one question though. What do you think people would say about you as a president?
That I was very balanced, forthright, accessible, gave support to all, and there are many teachers who still think that, oh, why did they look like the president? Because I never be with, like, you know, people think president should be this uptight,
traditional.
No. I met the people where they were, where they are, and I engaged, interacted with them. I have demonstrated, I've given up of myself for the benefit of my colleagues. So the amount of messages I've gotten from teachers, even teachers I didn't know. At conference, there are many teachers who came up to me and hugged me and said, Mr. President, I'm so proud of you. You did very well. You were listening. You represented us. So the teachers are commending me on my presidency. The media, various media houses have messaged me to say that I did an exceptionally good year as president. I was accessible to the media. I did over 500 interviews, you know.
No, you did very well on that regard.
Yeah, very, very good.
No, but I mean, even when we want to talk to you, you were willing to come and talk.
Yeah. And also the minister at the conference too, the minister said she said genuinely, because when people laugh that, you know, the rift between the Ministry of Education and JTA, and she said, no, we enjoyed a good relationship.
Yes. We had a very good relationship. We may not always agree on some things.
Yeah.
And one other thing, I can tell you this, and I don't know how many persons are listening, but whomever is listening out there. If I said something in an interview that the minister didn't like, rest assured she's going to call me and say, Mr. President, why did you put it that way? You know, this is what. And I said, Minister, this is how I see it. And we have to speak to it as how we see it. And we have that open relationship. You know, it's not about buttering up or kissing up to anybody. But the truth
you're not gonna get much done anyway if you don't have a good relationship. Even if you're trying to win, if you even want your argument, if you want to win the argument for your team, you still have to have a good relationship with
Yes, because if you're not talking, then you can't come to a
the person
consensus.
can still decide to even lose, but both of you lose together if they really don't value the relationship.
Yes.
So a lot of people tend to tie the two together when you say, you know, we have a good relationship with the ministry. It's a bad thing, it means you have to sell out. But
no, man, you see, some people see it that way, but I know, you see, the thing is this, you know,
have to have a good relationship.
I am a go-getter. I know what I want, I know where I'm going, and I know how to get there. And if I don't know how to get there, I'm going to find people who know how to get there to tell me how to get there. And once I've identified a course of action, I look at various pathways, select the best one, and go with it. I think in my presidency, I have done that. I think I have restored, to some extent, the image, face, and name of the JTA to John public out there. I know that my utterances have effected change in our society. So much so that after speaking at the Lions Club of Kingston, the political ombudsman wrote me. And because I spoke about civic education and the importance of it, and the fact that we have moved away from that kind of teaching, which is now putting us in a difficult spot. And she wrote me and she commended me on on the position and how I presented the case, because I didn't beat or bash anybody. I just simply presented facts. She sent me a book that they are working on, autograph, addressed specifically to me. She said, this is not for the JTA, this is yours. You know, and I didn't even know she was listening.
That's nice.
So I remember Cliff Hughes commended me and said, well, you know, the JT has a very good president and that the nation should look out and remember the name. I have that on tape, you know, so I can play it every time I get discouraged.
Yeah.
So, for Cliff Hughes to speak glowingly about you, it speaks volumes about what you have done.
But Winston, I think it's not easy for a person to know how they are perceived, you know, because you can only see yourself in the way that you want. You believe you're projecting yourself. That's authenticity. But what I have found with you in the conversations we have had is that you are willing to have the patience to share what your perspective is, and is willing to restructure that so that understanding is reached. And that's a powerful skill in leadership, because it says that you are valuing other voices in order to form your own opinion, right?
But you have to.
Yeah, but the truth is, we all know what we should do, but not everybody does it. And especially when people get into positions of authority, it sometimes allows them to think that they are infallible, invincible, and unchangeable. But what you have shown, even throughout this interview, even in your reflection, you're looking at how you have grown personally.
Personally, yeah, it's very good.
And you're also looking, you're future facing and looking how the organization that you have been a part of can begin to grow and develop new leaders. I mean, for me, that is essentially what service and service leadership looks like. Yeah, in that sense. So, I mean, from the EduTALK team, I think we can say really, I think it's a great time to have been connected with you.
Very good. We're gonna have some.
In closing, Dr. Dice, you know, my first general council meeting, we started at 10 a.m. We finished at 5. We started with 153 persons online. I finished with 147.
Wow.
Nobody left.
Wow.
You know, and when I was finished, Byron called me. He was still set gen at the you know, and he called me. That was in September. And he called me and he said, Mr. President, you did exceptionally well. And it meant a lot to me to hear that from him. And he said, Mr. President, you realize that the teachers didn't even leave. If we're in the physical space, at times people would have left. Persons left, but the teachers were there. And the feedback I got from them in the groups were that I listened and I allowed them to speak. I said to them from the onset that when I came into the JTA, they said, this is where views contend. We may not always agree, but I must respect the speaker and listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, when a person criticizes me about something, if there's merit in the criticism, it is my job in my reflection and my introspection to make sure that I do not repeat that same mistake. And to really listen. I have a particular chairman I laugh at the Tuesday night. Was it Tuesday night? Yeah, no, Monday night. I met with my chairman and I laugh at him and I said, listen, you should pay me, because I'm the first president to keep you on council for the entire year. As a person, since you came on board, I won't call anybody name, but if he's listening, he knows himself. And I mean, there are trying times though, guys. I wouldn't say to that it was all smooth sailing.
Yeah.
There was real trying times, but for me, I don't focus on those things. I keep them in my heart, in my mind, to build my character and to build my determination to improve on self. So yes, there are errors I would have made, errors of judgment even, things you would have said or believed or accepted that probably could have gone a different way. But hindsight is 20/20 vision, and it is incumbent on me now to, having looked at those choices, those pathways in the future, should I confront similar situation, having seen where this road will take you, up to examine it in more detail and more in a deeper way before making a decision. All in all, I'll say to teachers of Jamaica, to be the president of the JTA is the greatest honor that can be bestowed on you as a teacher. I have lived my dream, and I have no regrets. I've been asked by teachers to run again, but my response to teachers sometimes is that when a glass is broken, no matter how many times you fix it, it's not the same. Sometimes when you try to go a second time, you tend not to, the possibility exists that you may not do as good as you did the first. And you may erode your legacy if you're not careful.
True.
So it's better to move on into a different area where you can give support and help teachers. So at this point in time, I'll say to teachers, I have no desire to run again. I don't know what the future holds. No. Maybe the good Lord will come and say, Winston, I needed to do this thing again. Maybe the Lord has several other leaders lined up and is expecting me to demonstrate leadership in the futuristic leadership by educating and training them from now, so that when they reach that point, they are able to deliver quality leadership and support in the association. My job for me is to make sure that Lasagna looks good and Leighton looks good. I've impressed upon Dr. Nicely that there should be an office at the JTA for the president-elect and the immediate past president to share. I believe that office is there now.
Oh, good.
It will be the first occupants of it.
Good.
And it will give me a chance to sit down with Leighton and we have to have proper conversation to help him prepare mentally, emotionally, psychologically for the job, and to force the dialogue with the president and help the president to be a resounding success, and ultimately the teachers of Jamaica and Jamaica as a country.
That's good. Thank you. So we can end on that, and I really respect you and your person and your leadership, and we'll have you on every now and then to talk, to reflect on leadership and progress. So thank you so much, Mr. Smith, the immediate past president of JTA, to be on to reflect on his tenure in the driver's seat as president, and now he's immediate past president. Thank you so much, Alina.
I thought you were going to use my favorite term, IP.
The IP.
The IP.
Yes, I know the
Nice one, man.
Yeah, Dr. Barker, thank you. Thank you so much for being on too.
Thank you for having me. And we Dr. Dice, I'm still waiting on the plane ticket to come up to Manhattan. I tell you, I'm flying to buy the ticket.
You're gonna get one. You're gonna get one soon. I'm trying to pencil around the event.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Take care.
Yeah, man, you too.
Yeah. And Dr. Barker will talk.
All right, no problem. Yeah,
guys, everyone, please go to educationsolutionsinternational.org, subscribe, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel for other recordings. You can visit the channel for recordings. and we will talk very, very soon. Have a great week. We'll talk, and this was very, very good. We look forward to seeing everybody next week. Bye, everybody.